Well, for me, it all started with one tampon. I said it, let's just get that out of the way. Yes, a tampon. The only purpose in life is to be the perfect internal Band-Aid. And looking at your faces right now, the other purpose is to make people feel uncomfortable, apparently. Over the last 3 years, I have collected 126,921 tampons and pads. I'm an equal opportunity menstruator. And let me be clear, I'm not some sort of crazy hoarder that likes to collect pads and tampons. That's crazy, right? I would belong on a TLC hoarder show if that was the case. No, for me, it just kind of happened, and I'll tell you the story. I was sitting in front of my computer one day, Googling some sort of feng shui fad that I can harmonize my house, and I stumbled across an article, and it was about how women in shelters are not able to access pads and tampons, and how this is particularly challenging for domestic violence victims who are fleeing in the middle of the night. And I thought, well, that's not okay. Then this is something easy that I can help with. And so I proceeded to open another tab on my computer and click on Evite. And I activated the Mom Squad. And I invited everybody I knew and told them all to bring a friend. And the price for admission to my house for our party, which I proceeded to call Mardi Gras because it was near, it was in February, near Mardi Gras. The price of admission was a box of pads or tampons and a new bra or underwear as well. So it was just going to be a one-time event. Everybody came. We collected 150 pads and tampons that evening, about 150 new bras and underwear, and then I proceeded to take them to some of the local shelters. And I live here in Fairfax, and thinking that I was going to have to drive to DC to find shelters to bring them, and it turns out and I've lived in Fairfax for a long time now, and there's plenty of shelters just right here in the area, which most people don't know. So this one-time drop-off turned into a full-time job for me, and I'll tell you why. It was a letter that I received from Jolie, who was the development director at the time from Shelter House, which is Fairfax County homeless shelter. And originally I got the letter in the mail, and I figured it's just another receipt that we all get, the standard thank you template that says, thank you for the kitchen supplies that you no longer use, or the dusty toys, or the piles of used clothes. But this time it was a personal, handwritten letter. And it said, thank you so much for the donation. This is the #1 requested item for women in our shelters. Now can you bring more? And I was like, oh my goodness, how could I not respond? How could I not bring more? But I had just literally tapped out every single person I knew. Surely my friends would disown me if I asked again. So I started by asking some of the local businesses to hold boxes in their lobbies, or some of the local churches to do a collection drive. And before I knew it, I was receiving hundreds and hundreds of items. I would come home from work, and at my door were boxes of pads and tampons. The community really rallied, and then by May of 2015, 4 months after that first party, Bras was born, which is the name of my organization, bringing resources to aid women's shelter, and it really grew organically through the help of the community, through the help of volunteers. People would donate, and then the volunteers would go and bring them to different shelters in the area. We've now been able to distribute to about 50 shelters in Northern Virginia, DC, and Maryland, helping about 4,500 women. So it's been a really amazing success that happened just from rallying the community. At some point in this journey, I started asking questions. Why was the need so high? Why was it so difficult to access these items? Why is it like I'm bringing gold when I walk in the doors of these shelters? So I asked questions to some of the residents of the shelters. Tell me what it's like to get your period while homeless. One woman: I use my daughter's diaper. I portion it into 10 pieces. That will last me a week. Another woman, I use rolled up paper towels. It's not comfortable, but it does the trick. I used old socks, said another woman. A girl who is probably about 16, I asked, I just stay home from school. I don't have any other alternatives. To me, this was not okay, not acceptable. I started to look into it. These items were not covered under food stamps. They are not covered by Medicaid and WIC, taxed heavily, not allocated money into the shelters. And I said, we're going to do something about this. We're going to overhaul public policy. We're going to make sure that period is no longer a dirty word, and we're going to destigmatize it so that things change. Started reaching out to my elected officials, questioning them, finding out why this isn't part of their agenda. Candidates who are running for office stood up at town halls and said, I want this to be part of your agenda. And meeting with my officials, requiring them, if they wanted to be on my good side, that they have to start submitting bills that that focus on managing menstruation. And I'm super proud to say that even just last week, a governor signed a bill that requires that women in prisons have to be allocated pads and tampons at no charge. So, yeah. So it was a success, and we're still on this journey. And over the 3 years, there's been tears, and then there's been happiness, there's been agony, and then there's also been joy. There's been inspiration and resistance, but nevertheless I persisted, and it all started with one tampon. Thank you very much.